Hello, beautiful people. This is episode 14 of the Live Life Golden Show, and I am so excited about this conversation today. It was asked of me to have this conversation today. So that is so cool. And that's something actually that I wanted to share with everyone is that if you're working on things or if you have questions, get in touch with me. You can email me at livelifegolden@gmail, or you can hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. Let me know what you're working on because I can address it on these shows and it just gives me ideas. And if you're thinking of something, I can assure you that there's other people that have these questions as well. So we kind of all grow as a collective, which is super fun. And I just love working on stuff with people. So let me know what you need. I've got a new situation in my studio today. For those of you on podcasts, have no idea, but if you look me up on YouTube, I don't have my really cool backdrop anymore, and I got this picture, and I don't know. You guys, let me know. I don't think it's doing the same thing that my other thing did, but I had to simplify my studio and put this with my desk just to because I was moving furniture around all the time, and it was getting a little crazy. I needed to simplify, so we'll see. I don't know. I like the backdrop better for sure. All right, let's dive in. Follow your dreams. What does that even mean? Are you even dreaming anymore? I launched this transformation challenge, and my application forms were, all about like what are you dreaming about? What do you want to manifest? And some people didn't have an answer for me. It's like they've stopped dreaming because when they dream, it's like painful because if you have a dream and you don't believe it's possible, then that creates angst in your life and it actually can make you more miserable. And if it does make you more miserable, then you're definitely not in the vicinity of creating that dream. So, this is all about how the energy conducts and how you're going to be able to conduct energy in order to create those dreams, to actually facilitate stepping into following your dreams. So, I'm going to give you all of the energy activations. I'm also going to share our story. Now, I know I have sprinkled our story across a lot of my podcast. And if you've ever read Quantum Speak, this may be redundant for you, but I'm going to share probably some details that you haven't heard before and some different intricacies that we created and that we figured out how to like fine tune the energy so that we could actually take this huge leap of faith and live where we want to live and do the crazy things that you don't see a lot of people doing because people want to stay safe. And because people want to stay safe, they stay stuck and they don't do the things that their heart is calling them to. The first thing that I want to help you understand is that if you have a desire in your heart, there's a very specific and important reason for that desire. If your heart is calling you towards something, it means you have the wherewithal to manifest it. And actually, if you want to get super deep and technical with me, it's actually already been created. You just have to line up with it in order to start living it in the physical. So if you have that dream, just the fact that you can visualize something means that it's already been created. You just have to tune into the right dial. You have to tune into the right radio station in order to start seeing physical evidence of it and start experiencing it in your life. Your desires create. I know that I have said that before, but I want you to understand it from a different platform. When you have a desire, when something happens in your life and you have a desire, something sparks inside of you. You see something, you notice something, it creates an energetic change in your body. You feel a change towards it. You feel that desire. Desire is energy, right? Like it's energy. That's what emotion is. It's energy in motion. So desire is that energy of creation. It's the very first step in creation is your desire. And that can be a desire that was created from something you didn't want, right? Like it's a job you don't like. So now you have a desire for a different job. You're living in a place you don't like. It's a desire to live somewhere else. So those desires actually create. The reason why we get stuck in desires and we may feel like they're not manifesting is all about the way we're conducting from them. So it's all about the energy that we're putting forth towards these desires. So are we in lack? Are we in misery? Are we feeling sad about it? Are we feeling jealous about other people having it? What is the conduction of energy all wrapped around that desire? Do we feel like it's never going to happen? Do we feel like nothing ever good happens to us? So you have to really pay attention to what that desire is evoking from you, what you are allowing that desire to spark. And it's okay if you've been stuck for a while, and it's okay if you've been miserable for a while. It's okay if you have wrapped that desire in something that feels impossible. It's okay, because this is a brand new day. I did it for years. So I'm going to share that story. I just want to make sure. Okay, so yeah, let me just cover a couple things and then I'll go into our story, and I'm going to sprinkle some things throughout it. When you have a story that you tell yourself about a desire that you have, a story that goes something along the lines of, I can't do that because, I can't do that yet because, I can't go there, I can't move there, I can't do it because I don't have enough money, or I can't do it because this person says I can't, or I can't do it because I have to take care of this person. When you put yourself in that story, you're writing the story for your future, because this moment right here, right now, is what's creating the next moments. So the very first thing you have to do is recognize what story you're in with it right now. Write it down. I'm here. These are my boom, 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 my beliefs about this particular situation. And then you have to call yourself into action and awareness on these thoughts moving forward. So, what is the story that you actually want to create? What is the story you actually want to create? So, let's say, just for just because I'm going to work this with my story, let's say you want to move across the country. So, let's say you live somewhere, you don't like it there, and you want to move somewhere else. Okay? So, in order for you to do that, first of all, if you want to move somewhere else, especially a higher vibrational place, let's say that you want to move from the East Coast to the West Coast. I will say this about the West Coast: it's a super high vibration. There is, not to say that no one's ever upset here, but people walk around a little lighter, a little happier, because our weather is really wonderful. And for most of the year, it's very wonderful. We also have the ocean, and the ocean always makes people feel good. So people are in, like, you know, beach life, or we have a lot of travelers. So we have a lot of people on vacation. So what are you on vacation? You're happy, you're excited, you're having a good time. So in order for you to move to that place, that West Coast, you have to up your vibration. You have to be in a higher frequency, because in order for you to align with another place, you have to be in that energy field. One of the things that we did before we actually moved to California was okay, I'm just going to start the story because this is where it begins and it's really interesting. So before we moved to California, we lived in Connecticut. I thought I would live and die there. I grew up there. We lived 2 towns away from where we both grew up, my husband and myself. Um, we were solid in the community. My husband had a thriving business at one point. We had lots of friends. Never thought that I would leave Connecticut. Over the course of things that were happening in our life, so we had, the economic thing of 2009 where our business got flushed and we ended up in a network marketing company. Through that network marketing company, we started traveling and we started seeing places outside of Connecticut, and we started to just get kind of curious and started to really wanted to be somewhere else. We're also very ingrained in our network marketing company, like the community, the family, the love, all of that stuff. Like, I had people who adopted me. I mean, it was a lot of love, and it was a lot of love, like family love, that I hadn't felt in a while. And it was like that embracement of love that started to make me feel like I wanted to live somewhere else, made me want to live near these people that I love so much, and create like a family. So we, are going through this network marketing thing. We're, creating money, creating more money, trying to get out of this financial struggle. And we decide we're going to move to Vegas. Vegas. We're going to move to Vegas because that's where all of our friends are. And then we'll be closer to our company and it'll be easier for us to travel. And we're going to move to Vegas. That was the first thought. Okay. So we decided to plan a trip to Vegas. actually, no, we didn't decide to plan a trip. My husband surprised me with a trip. Our very first trip to Vegas, he surprised me. And actually, that wasn't our first trip there, but we went there with the sole intention of like feeling out the situation and being with our friends and family. And it was our anniversary, and we were just going to celebrate and have fun. And we also had a California trip planned in that same trip. So, and at this point, California is not on my radar, but something as a little girl, I always loved California, even though I'd never been there. I mean, who doesn't, right? The palm trees, the beaches, it's that idea of California. So we go to Vegas, and it's February, and we're riding bikes around, and the weather's great. It's like in the 70s, fine. Nighttime was a little chilly, but we're riding around, and I said, I don't think I can live here. It's not pretty. Like I realized at that moment that I'm not a desert person. I just don't thrive in the desert. I don't feel great in the desert. So we take our little trip to California, and we get off the plane in California. Now, this is February, so it's real cold back in Connecticut. We get off the plane in Long Beach, California, and it's outside. I don't know if you've ever been to the Long Beach airport, but it's outside. So I'm walking outside in my tank top. It's 85 degrees, and it's February. We actually were going to a seminar in California. That's why we were there. And at one point I was laying by the pool, and there was these hummingbirds and like joy, like hummingbirds mean joy, and sunshine, and it's 85 degrees. And I think that is where that seed got planted. That very strong seed of California got planted. So we leave, we go home, and I'm like, I don't know if it's Vegas, but I know it's somewhere. Like, I know that we're not meant to live here. And we just started to create that desire of living somewhere else. The winters in Connecticut were getting super long, super hard. And I don't know, it was like a vibrational thing. Like, I just was starting to feel like I couldn't thrive there. I couldn't find, that amount of joy that I was looking for. So we go back home. Nothing happens. I ended up, I think one winter, I actually threw out all of my winter clothes. I'm pretty sure I shared that with you guys. And then we were still there the next winter, and that kind of sucked. So be careful if you act as if, because you could kind of screw yourself. So we go through, I think, another year or two, maybe three, I'm not sure. And we end up connecting with this energy healer. And we're both actually my husband, which he does not ever do this. He signed up for this energy session with this woman that we had met online, and she was from Germany. And we become good friends with her, and he wanted to do this energy session with her. So we started doing energy work with her and really clarifying our desires and really connecting, releasing old, things, releasing, like, at that point in our lives, our house was in foreclosure. So we were, releasing fears, releasing that worry that they were going to come and take our house, and, all that financial struggle and all that financial worry. She was helping us with that. So through the course of working with her, we decided California was the place. Like, that was it. And she was a big part of that. And she was supposed to move there too, and she never did. But I remember having many talks with her about, faith and releasing the old belief systems and all of that stuff that I talked to you guys about. So she was a huge foundation in us gaining the confidence to do this. So we end up going to like a convention for our company in June. This was the month of June. This is a year before we left. That June, we go to this convention, and there's this guy there, and his name is SoCal Eddie, right? SoCal Eddie. That's what he goes by. That's his name. So we meet, we have kind of a funny exchange. And I was like, he tells me that he lives in Southern California. And I was like, oh my God, I just love California. I want to move there so bad. And I had another friend from that company also who lived in California. So her and I had spoken a few times about what it would be like to live in California and all this stuff. So my husband at this point has no interest in California. So he just like walks away, and he was like, I, I don't see how that's possible. Like, he wasn't there yet, as far as like the energy work and stuff. He wasn't there with me yet. So I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to this guy. So I talked to him about it. And he's like, you know what? If you ever need anything, if you guys ever want me to show you around, it's like such a poignant conversation to what happened next. So we leave. I have no connection with this guy moving forward except for Facebook. So we leave, and then through the course of that summer we start realizing like it's California. It's definitely California. My husband starts getting on board. He was so not on board in the beginning of this California thing with me that when we had come to visit here 2 years prior, we had come like right before we went to Hawaii. We stopped for a day, and my friend Kim and I were like trying to work on him to get him to want to move to California, and it was raining. And we went to this restaurant, it's so funny, that we go to now that is like one of my favorite places, and it's right on the beach. Like the restaurant's like right on the sand, and it's called the Beachcomber. It's in Newport, California. And we had blankets on. It was raining and like 55 degrees. And my friend was like, this was March, April. I think it was the end of March. My friend was like, this like never happens. It's so bizarre. And I remember my husband going, I don't even like it here. And I was just like, oh, my plans are foiled, right? No, not necessarily. So, anyways, that summer, we get real clear with our energy person, and we're like, yes, it's California. It's definitely California. So I'm like putting out all these, activations, California, I want to move so bad. I'm visualizing as much as I possibly can. I'm listening to Bob Proctor's Abundance Meditation, which has waves in the background. I'm seeing myself on the beach of California. I'm seeing myself standing outside my home. I'm activating, just feeling it and activating it, but also feeling very much like, how in the hell are we ever going to do this? Like, this is such a big thing. It's such a huge thing to like, leave everything we've ever known. Our kids at that point, we had two that were moved out. One was in Connecticut. The other one moved to Arizona. And then our third and fourth were, let's see, sixth grade and eighth grade. How would we move the kids? Like that's so mean to do to the kids. How are we even going to do that? So if you get into the house, it's like every time you get into the house with yourself about your dream coming true, you will talk yourself out of it, because what happened to us made no sense. It really made no sense. What we did, what we felt inspired to do, what got ignited within us, none of it made sense. So that summer, I decided to reach out to SoCal Eddie on Facebook. And so I start looking for him, and he's not really on. I think I friended him. I don't even think we were friends yet. So when I friended him, he instantly inboxed me and said, hey, are you looking for me? And I was like, yeah, I guess I am. So started talking to SoCal Eddie on the phone. And we talked a few times, and he was just a great, generous, loving man. And he was like, listen, if you want to come out here, if you want to move out here, you have to come here. You have to see what it's like. You can't just move somewhere that you've barely ever been. And he made a good point. So I said to Mike, my husband, I said, we got to go. And he was just kind of like, I don't, at that point, I'm not sure that there was funds for us to do it. Like not, it would have been like a credit card situation, which we were kind of steering away from because we had come off of bankruptcy and we were just building our credit, and, we weren't doing things like that. So, a couple days goes by and I win the freaking lottery. Yeah. I got 5 numbers out of 6 and I won $1,000. Yeah. 5 numbers out of 6, $1,000. I was lined up with abundance, I'm sure. So I'm like, that's our California ticket money. Like, there it is. It just got laid in our lap. Here it is. And my husband totally agreed. So we book our flights. We had a gentleman staying with us who agreed to take care of the kids, and that was all set. And that was one of the funnest trips we ever had in our lives. It was 8 days of scouting California for where we wanted to live. We landed in LA. The first place we went was in Santa Monica because I had met this guy on Twitter. I'm barely even on Twitter, but I met this guy on Twitter and we had like similar philosophies. And he was like, you have to come to Santa Monica. If you're going to come to California, you have to see this area. So we met him for one of the most leading edge conversations I think I've ever had in my life over coffee. Santa Monica was not for us. It was a little, there was just, I don't know, the energy just, it's so interesting, you guys, when you come into a place and you decide where you want to live, you will feel the energy. It's the same thing with any home that I've ever moved into. It's like, boom, you just know, like the energy just grabs you and you're like, this is it. And you just know. That's why, like, all this worrying about will I know? It's like, you just know. So we end up driving down. Now we ended up staying with SoCal Eddie for a little while. He lived in Long Beach. Long Beach was also not our cup of tea. Just not, wasn't feeling the energy of it. There's just I can't explain it. It's just energetically, it just wasn't there. Biked around with him, had a really great time, and then he had a friend in Irvine, California, who also wanted to show us around. What? Like, just all these, like, all this support, all this love, all this support. So this woman drove us all around South Orange County. We went to Laguna Beach. When I came to Laguna Beach, I was enamored. It swept me off my feet. It still does when I go there. It is absolutely my favorite place. I love Laguna. I could go there every day. I live about 15 minutes from there. But Laguna was not for us to live because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of travelers, there's a lot of traffic, and we just didn't want to live in an environment like that. So we ended up right outside of Laguna, like next best thing. So I remember sitting in Laguna Beach, eating a sandwich on a picnic table, watching people play volleyball, and thinking, could this really be my home? Could this really be my home? And now I sit there and I go, this is really my home. It's so cool. So this wonderful woman took us all around Orange County. We had so much fun. We went down to, we took a little brief trip down to San Diego. Again, I love San Diego, but just didn't connect the same. So then moving forward, once we got back home, so the idea was we were going to meet people here. My husband was going to make building connections. She drove us around Newport, and that's when Michael really understood that he could build here because there's a lot of New England style homes. There's a lot of building styles that he's used to. And when he saw those homes, I think it really solidified for him that it could work. But again, we made no connections. There was no connections. We were like a fish out of water. And when there's no connections, you go, okay, so nothing happened. Like nothing's unfolding. My dream isn't coming true because nothing happened. I thought for sure something was going to happen there, right? That would tell us that we're supposed to move. So this is September. We get back home and I'm like, shit, if I'm not going to have to live another winter here. You know, like I really thought we were going to be able to just pack the kids up and leave. Like he was going to meet somebody, get a job, and we were out. That's really what I truly wanted. So once I got back home and realized it, the energy was very amped up for us, very excited, extreme excitement, because now I know what it feels like. And now it was funny. We spent time with this woman and then we went and did a few things on our own. And then we came back to her because I think we had her beach pass a couple days later. And she was like, you guys look like you belong here. Like you look like Californians. And I was like, exactly. Like I was already vibing with it. You know, I was already here. I was already feeling it. I already felt like, hey, I belong there. So we go back home and I decide I'm excited. I have to get as happy and in the highest frequency I can in order for this thing to manifest. Like I have a true understanding of that now, of the frequency of California is so high. And if I am miserable where I am, I will not be able to get there. So I did things. I stayed home a lot. I meditated a lot. I wrote a lot. I visualized a lot. When it snowed and I had to shovel snow, I put music on and I danced. I danced through snow, shoveling snow. And I hated shoveling snow. We had this very small driveway that you couldn't plow. So it was like a 2.5 hour process. And the plow would plow all of the snow across our driveway. So it was that heavy snow that comes from the road. When I did that, when I was in that super high vibration and I was dancing around my driveway, my neighbors probably thought I was nuts. I didn't have a lot of physical pain. I used to get like terrible backaches from snow shoveling. And when I was in that high vibration, that didn't happen. I didn't have that soreness. So that was something that I learned that was super interesting. So through that winter, just felt super happy. I kept talking to this woman on the phone who lived in Irvine, and she was giving me places that we could potentially live, which is so cool because we ended up in Aliso Viejo. And that was one of the things that I wrote down: Aliso Niguel High School. And that's the high school that my kids ended up going. I found that note like a year later, and I was like, no way, I had already written it down. So we're like, working on this, and it's happening. And then in February, you go through the whole winter. February, still winter, we get a notice in the mail from our house, from our mortgage company, that they are definitely coming down and they're going to foreclose and we're moving out. And there's like there's a court date. And this was 4 years into this process. We had refinanced, defaulted again, and then it was coming down again. So we get this letter, and we're both just kind of looking at it and, scared. I mean, the fear of losing your home, and all I can imagine is that sign in my, yard, and my poor kids having to go to school with that shame. And it was crooked what they did to us with the mortgage. That house was a $440,000 house. We had two mortgages on it. One was for 12%, the other one was like for 8%. And they ended up, after they foreclosed on us, they ended up selling the house for 200,000. I mean, it's just gross. It's just absolutely gross. We loved that house. We lived our fullest in that house, whether we were under foreclosure or not. So we get this notice, we're looking at each other, and I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we waiting for the bank to determine our fate? I will never forget this night for as long as I live, because it was such a big decision that happened that night. So Michael looks at me and he's like, so what do you want to do? And he said, let's put a date on it. Let's just put a date on it. Let's do it. Let's put a date on it, and let's decide how much money we need to leave. And that was so frightening. I remember feeling like, oh shit, he's calling me out. Like, this is really happening. So we did it. We put a date on it. We had $30,000 written down. Now, mind you, we'd never been able to save money before, ever. And so many things happened. So many miracles happened to create that amount of money for us. We ended up moving with 20,000, which was fine. 30 would have been better, but 20 was fine. So we end up booking flights. Woo, we're booking the flights, telling the kids, and we told the kids in the height of winter that we were moving to the warm, sunny beaches of California. So they took it really well. If you're watching the energy, it was very cool how they took it, and they were cool with it, and they were kind of excited about it. So that felt right, and that felt good. I started selling everything in our house. Here we are. We've been in this house for 10 years, together for 20 something. It was all of our possessions. So I'm on Facebook, OfferUp, and every single day people are coming and taking my stuff. It was amazing. So there's money flowing. Money is flowing towards us like big time. Confirmation, confirmation that this is the right thing, that when you take the leap of faith, you will be supported. That was the confirmation. So we booked my car. We were going to have my car shipped, and we decided that the only thing we were going to take was what would fit in my car. And then Michael's tools, he had a place to store them until he could come back and get his tools, so that we could literally just grab a suitcase, get on the plane with the cats. We had two cats, and we were just going to go. So we make all these plans, and I decide, okay, it's time to make this big announcement on Facebook. We had shared this with no one. And let me tell you about sharing your dreams with people. They will try to dissuade you from your dreams, because A, they didn't follow their dreams, and B, they've got a whole bunch of opinions about what you're about to do. There was one guy that my husband was working for, and he was like, what the hell do you want to move to all those weirdos for? Right? Like, people have their opinions, and they're going to share them with you, and hopefully that's not going to alter the way you feel about it. So you're better off just keeping your dreams quiet. So we did that. We kept it very, very quiet for a long time, which isn't always easy, but it's very smart. I would definitely highly suggest, if you have a dream and you haven't started facilitating it yet, do not let the peanut gallery talk you out of it. Stay quiet about it. So that was February. We booked our plane flights for, I think it was June 30th. I think we flew in. Yeah, June 30th. I make this big announcement on Facebook. This is probably like March, April. I make the big announcement on Facebook. And my friend, that one other friend I had from our company, who we had a falling out because she left the company. So I hadn't talked to her in a while. And recently I had apologized to her for that because I was like, that's ridiculous. I loved you. We were friends. Like, we shouldn't let business get in the way of that. Started to wake up about that whole thing. She was like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this, but we're leaving for Hawaii that day. And our house is going to be empty for 10 days. What? And you guys can stay here so you can find a place to live. I'm like, what? And she had a little puppy and she was like, can you take care of the dog? So we ended up flying in, taking her car from the airport because our car wasn't there yet. Remember, it was being shipped, taking her car home so she didn't have to pay for parking, watching her little dog. And for the next 10 days, we scouted California for where we wanted to live. I got to take a breath here because that was one of the scariest things we ever did. Boarding that plane. First of all, we were leaving my oldest daughter in Connecticut, which was heart-wrenching. And at the time, she was engaged to a guy who I knew would never move to California. Miracles happened and they broke up. And the cats were making me super anxious because we had to fly across the country with them. The poor kids, they had to say goodbye to all their friends, everything they've ever known. They had to say goodbye to. That was really hard. We had to say goodbye to all of our stuff. It was like one grieving thing after another. Our family, our friends, everything. It was so intense. So intense. So intense. So we land in California. We land at my friend's house, and it's challenging. I don't have a home. I don't do good when I don't have a home. When I'm not grounded, I start losing my shit. I'm not even kidding you. I'm like, oh my God, what do you mean I don't have a home? And we had credit issues, you guys. Like, our credit was so low. And what we had heard about California, which I really just caution you about listening to what other people say and buying into their belief systems, is that it was a very competitive market and it was hard to find a place. In fact, I manifested a real estate agent who pissed me off so bad because he was trying to put us in a place that was like in the slums. And I was like, there's no way that I'm going to, live in some place like that after taking this huge leap of faith, which fueled me. It fueled me to like be like, no, we deserve a beautiful place. We're going to move into a beautiful place that we love, and that's the way it's going to be. Mind you, we don't have income. We don't have jobs. We don't have prospects for jobs. We just have this little tiny chunk of money, which sounds like a lot, but when you have to rebuild a home, silverware, towels, bath rugs, furniture, all of that, it's not that much money. So we end up scouting, and we're driving down to San Clemente to look at this apartment. And San Clemente, I didn't love. I love San Clemente now, but then it was like the energy was weird. I can't explain it again. It wasn't where I was meant to be. As we're driving down to San Clemente, we need gas. So we get off in this town, Aliso Viejo, to get gas. And I'm looking around, and there's this town center with 75 stores and a movie theater, and it's a hometown feeling, it's a planned community. So, I mean, everything you could ever want is 5 minutes away, like everything. And I'm like, I think I could live here, right? I think I can live here. It feels really good here. It feels safe. That was one of the things. I really wanted to feel safe. We almost ended up in Huntington Beach, but I didn't feel safe. I wanted my kids to feel safe. I wanted to feel safe. So we were going down to San Clemente, looked at that place, didn't like it. The next day, I get an email from the St. Moritz Apartments, which is where we got rented our first apartment in Aliso Viejo, right? Like, your soul already knows where you're going. So we go and look at it. It's like a resort. It's like a resort. There's like 4 pools. There's a gym. They take us around a little golf cart. The apartment is gorgeous. It's like 1,700 square feet. Long time since Mama lived in an apartment, so it had to be pretty nice, right? New rugs. I mean, it was just beautiful. So we decide, yes, we want to live there, and we're hoping they're going to take our credit, and they make us pretty much wait. We were in a hotel for like 2 weeks. So they made us wait like a whole, that 4th of July weekend before they told us if they were going to accept us, which was, talk about cray cray. I was crazy. I was scared. I was afraid. It was a lot. It was intense. So my husband, because I'm so ungrounded at this point, decides that we should go to this yoga meetup group. He does not do yoga. So he just knew that I needed something to feel better because the kids were fighting. We're in a hotel. The kids are fighting. We've got like one bedroom with two beds in it, and then another bedroom like in a loft, and the remote keeps changing the TV upstairs. I mean, it was just like the kids weren't getting along. We get the cats in the hotel room. It's insane. So once St. Moritz tells, oh, so they hadn't told us yet. So then we go to this yoga meetup group. We're standing there, and this is on the back of my book if you haven't read it yet, but it was so cool. We're waiting for the yoga instructor, and my husband looks out and he says, oh my God, this is the picture that I've had on my phone for the last 3 years. And we realized at that moment that we were home. It's like we both started crying. I'm crying now. We both started crying. It's like your soul already knows where you're going. It's like the pictures are already there. The universe is already talking to you. It's prompting you to keep going. So at that moment, we felt better. We get the thing that we can move into this apartment. And then within a week's time, we ended up meeting with these people who knew us on Facebook. They knew us from our network marketing company, and they connected us with the first guy who hired my husband. For a little while, he was driving to LA. I think he went 3 days. A connection we had in Connecticut. He was working in LA for 3 days. It was terrible. It was awful and not enough money. And he let it go. And then these people came in and introduced him to one of the most wonderful couples that we have ever met here. They have been our angels, our absolute angels. And he's given us a lot of work. So Michael started working for him. He wasn't making enough, but this man was so good to us. I mean, he lent us money to go back and get our tools. I started my business, so we started making money that. I mean, we were just making the bills every month. Sometimes not. We had miracles happen when we didn't have the rent money, where we had angels show up that helped us through that really tough time, and our faith increased exponentially, because every single day there was a miracle. Every single day we were met with the conviction that we followed our dreams and it was going to work out. I mean, I remember standing in the laundry room like sobbing because we didn't know what to do. And it was like, we've come too far to fail. And we had to constantly like create from that conviction. We're not going back. We're not going to fail because we're never going to give up. Get that in your head. You're not going to fail because you're never going to give up. We always were going to keep foraging forward. And because of that, the universe met us in so many unexpected ways. There were many days that we went to the sunset because the sunset always assured us, like it just reassured us that everything was okay. It just gave you that settled feeling, that peaceful feeling when we were feeling super duper anxious. Listen, there was no absence of fear. The underlying energy a lot was fear, but we let the faith take over. We kept letting our faith up level, and because of that, we kept getting shown over and over again that we were going to be okay, that everything always works out for us. And that has been our mantra since before we moved to California. We started that mantra. Everything is always working out for us because we had to, house in foreclosure, bills coming due that we didn't have money for. We had to create that mantra to hold on to. And that mantra was what this man saw on Facebook that made him want to have coffee with us, that connected us with this other guy. So cool. And we're still really good friends with these people that hired my husband. And now, I mean, they're colleagues, and we just had dinner with them recently at the beach house in Newport, and they came and made us dinner, and it was so much fun. And it feels so good to sit in a position now where we're not desperate and we're not afraid, and we did it. Like I think that's our overall vibration now, is like, we did that so we can do anything. And when you get to that point, when you leap in faith, I mean, guys, that was a quantum leap. No house, no job, 2 kids, 2 cats. That was a quantum leap of faith. When you do that, when you stop letting your mind talk you out of things and you just go for it, the universe is always going to support you. There's always going to be a net. Will it be hard? I don't know. Was it hard for us? Yes. There was a lot of hard things that happened. But because we didn't lay down, because we didn't allow ourselves to get the wind taken out of our sails. And I think a lot of it too is we had each other. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not alone. My husband's not alone, There were many times that we had to pull the other person up. I worked with an energy healer even though money was tight, and she gave me a deal. She gave me a deal a lot because she wanted me to be able to work with her, and she many times talked me off the floor. I mean, just a beautiful, loving, amazing woman. um yeah, she helped me get through this for sure. There's just always been angels, there's always been that community of support for us that has gotten us through so many different things that there's just no doubt anymore. We don't have doubts. It's like when something happens that creates a desire within us, we don't have any doubt. We know it's coming. We know it's been activated. Some of the other things that you can do when you're looking to manifest is to start looking for the signs. So the signs were everywhere. One day I was in New York. I was actually meeting with my energy healer in New York, and I saw 7 California license plates. 7. It's unheard of. And I would see California license plates almost every day towards the end. I would walk into TJ Maxx and there would be like a Malibu, California tank top. In fact, I bought that. I had to buy it. It was like, or it bought me, I guess you'd say. There were so many signs. I started telling people, and this is the thing, this is what I caution you about telling people about your dreams. I started telling people that I was moving to California in the grocery store because I was so sure it was happening sooner than it was that I started telling people. And then they started saying things like, you already look like you belong in California. Like I just started taking on that frequency to the point where people in the grocery store would not see me. People that I knew wouldn't even see me. I'm like, oh, I have already left. She has already left the building. But it got wonky towards the end because then the grocery store clerks would be like, oh, so when are you leaving? And I was like, when it manifests, I don't know. That got kind of annoying. So I don't know. Was I acting as if? Did it work for the energy? I don't know, but it's what I did. So it created a little bit of weirdness for me, but I got through it and it worked. So I ended up having, being able to say, oh, yeah, we're leaving on June 30th, which I'm realizing is tomorrow. And that's so cool because that's our 6-year anniversary to living here. So that's pretty awesome. All right. So, what can you do to shift the energy if you are feeling stuck? If you've got this dream, you've got this desire, it keeps calling to you, and you feel like you don't know what to do about it. So, the first thing you want to do is you want to clean up your energy field about it. So, what's the story you're telling yourself? Get really awake and really aware to what the story is that you're telling yourself about it. Then you need to decide a new story. So whether it's I don't have enough money, or I can't go because this person doesn't want me to, or I can't go because my husband doesn't want me to, yeah, let go of that and stop arguing with your husband about where you want to live. I stopped doing that. And then when he would say negative things about moving to California, I just wouldn't respond. I just go to my happy place. Go to my happy place. And just let it go. Like it's resistance. And what happens a lot of times is people will call from us like the fears that we have going on within. So I'm like, well, if I don't respond to his negativity or his resistance, then that means I don't have any of it. So I can just have faith. I can just keep turning to my faith and knowing that that's where I belong because that's where my heart is calling me. I mean, this is lots of meditation. I'm talking like every single day being in the awareness, being in that vibration of California. I did a lot of that. A lot of that. It was winter, so I was home a lot and I had the time to do it. I did it like it was my job. I sure did. So once you do that, once you shift it and you start realizing where you want to live, it's activating the energy of it. It's being excited about it. It's putting pictures up about it. It's feeling like, ooh, I don't know how this is going to happen, but it's going to happen, right? And then it's activating the energy. So if you've never been there, you should visit. You should definitely visit. You can't move somewhere that you've never been if you don't feel. You have to be able to feel the energy. It's like the beach house that we just rented. I needed to stay in the beach house so that I know what it feels like to live in a beach house because I want to live in a beach house, right? Like that's To me, that's my next logical step, is to live on the sand, because that's my next desire, right? It's like vibrationally, that's where I want to be. And my husband is in alignment with that. So in order for us to do that, we've got to rent a place that is similar to what we're looking for, so we can feel the energy, so we can activate more of it. You don't have to do this, but it's very, very helpful to know the frequency, to know the vibration. So a visit is a really great way. And if you don't feel like you have the finances, then you won't. Okay? Right? We had to put that out there, like, we want to go, we're going to go, we're excited about going, and boom, I win the lottery. You can't make this shit up. Watch for the signs and see where the energy goes. So if the signs keep telling you, California, 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 it's in your frequency, it's in your field, it's in your awareness. So that means it's manifesting. That's physical evidence of the manifestation. So now it's all about the feeling. How do I feel about it? What do I wrap around this story? Do I wrap around a bunch of resistance? Do I wrap around a bunch of negativity? Do I wrap around a bunch of lack and misery, and I wish and I hope? And hope's an okay vibration, but it's not facilitating change for you. You have to change your state, change your frequency, wake up in gratitude, look for reasons to feel grateful, look for reasons to love where you are now, right? Because that's higher frequency living. So see where the energy goes, and then see if there's a leap of faith you need to make. Leaps of faith are interesting, but they're the thing about a leap of faith is the expansion that you create from it, the joy that you facilitate through showing yourself that you can do it. You can do anything you desire. You just have to get out of your own way, stop letting your mind talk you out of it, and start creating the activation of energy. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the way you feel. Up level your frequency. Meditate. Get into your truth. The truth is you are powerful beyond measure. The truth is that if you have a calling in your heart, you have to fulfill that. It would be a cruel ass world if that wasn't true. The only reason why people don't fulfill their dreams is because they don't create the right activation of energy around them, and instead they sit and wait, or they sit and stop believing. They stop dreaming. They stop wanting. People stop wanting because they're like, well, if I want something, then that hurts. I wish I didn't want this anymore. It's like, if you don't want and you don't have desires, you don't have life being called through you. You don't have the potential to manifest if you don't have desire working through you. The desire is where it's at. It's what calls the life through you. It's what calls all this activation of energy within your life experience to create. How cool is that? So be excited about your desires and ask yourself, what can I do right now? What can I do right now that will facilitate this dream? Can I reach out to somebody that lives there? Like, right, there was things every day that I was doing. Energy release work, working with talking about California, being excited about it. We had a little group of so crazy that those people did well. They could live here. We're not in contact with that energy healer anymore, but we had a little group where we texted each other and imagined and talked as if we already lived here. And like, so many things that I saw in my mind's eye, that now it's like, when I do those things, like when I stand in front of my house, I'm like, shit, I've been here before. Like, it's so familiar, because I knew this is where I was going to land, somewhere in my soul, like deep within my soul. I knew this is where I was going to land. I knew this is where I belonged. So get in touch with that truth. That's what meditation is going to do for you. It's going to start to uncover those false belief systems, so you can actually hear the truth and hear this calling of your heart, and it can get stronger, and you can start seeing that physical evidence of it in the miracles and the signs and the signals that you're getting. Invite in all of that non-physical support. There's non-physical support. We had to call on that often when we were feeling lost, when we were feeling afraid. It's like, all right, we're here. We're ready. Where you at? Can you drop some money? because they did that. They dropped money. They did. So I was reading this book. It's Florence Scovel Shinn, and it's called The Game of Life and How You Play It. And I had like her big it was a big volume of books. So it had a bunch of her declarations, she calls them, similar to affirmations, but a little bit different. And I was reading the book at this time, and we were super up against it, like zero money. And I had $40 in my bank account. I know I've shared this before, but I promised to share the whole story on this show so you can hear it verbatim from me. So I decided I was going to go to Trader Joe's and I was going to buy langostinos, shrimp and langostinos. I did this little mixture that was so delicious, and the langostinos were like, I don't know, 15 bucks. And I had $40 left in my account. And I remember feeling so much joy. I remembered feeling free. I was feeling free from financial burden. I was feeling like I know there's more coming. That was my up level of faith. It was incredible. Because I was reading this book, I was feeling the energy of it. She talked about declarations, making declarations on your life. Like, I know that I'm loved and supported. I know that everything is okay. I know that everything is working out for me. So I'm walking out of Trader Joe's and I look down and there's $100 on the ground. And I picked it up and I looked up and I was like, thank you. And I brought it home and my husband said to me, we have nothing to worry about. And it was from that moment forward that our faith expanded so much that the financial woes and worries and burdens and heaviness got lighter. And to the point where I would wake up in the morning and my bank account would be negative and I would laugh and I would be like, you think I'm negative in the universe? I don't think so. I give a lot of value and I know what I'm worth. And then boom, that day we would get a check in the mail. So have faith and trust that you are so taken care of. You don't need to do anything crazy to prove that you're a manifester. But honestly, if your heart is calling you so deeply, it's worth the leap of faith. It's always worth the leap of faith. All right. I love you all. I'll do a couple of little plugs for my stuff. I've got my podcast, which is on podcast, which you might be listening to this. I also have a YouTube channel. I have a program that I just launched called Ignite the Fire Within Challenge. It looks like that's closed. So we're closing that program. But if you are interested in that program, there will be, I'm going to do a second launch. So that'll be coming soon. So look for that either on Facebook or Instagram. Or if you have particular questions about it, just hit me up at livelifegolden@gmail.com. Please podcast, if you can give any reviews on Amazon, if you can review Quantum Speak, that really helps like move it up. I don't know how any of that works. I also have Quantum Speak for Parents, which is also on Amazon. Super helpful if you're raising kids or for relationships in general, just about energetic exchange. Really, really good quality information. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I have a lot of good things coming. I'm very, very excited about what's launching and what I'm going to be able to offer you moving forward to help you and assist you along this journey. I was just talking to a friend on the phone, like lifetime sisterhood friend. In fact, she's probably listening, and I love you. And we were saying how we were talking about just the up levels, and how you up level to these places and you go there with amazing people and you change your frequency and you change your state and it changes your life, and how exciting that all is, and how to be able to offer that to people and to be able to offer the energy release work. Today was the first day that I did that with her, and it was so awesome. And I was just like, why have we never done this before? It's like people have to be ready for that. And, she had asked me some questions like, do you think it's possible to do that stuff on your own? Because I do feel like I get a little stuck. And quite honestly, I don't know the answer to that. I do a lot of it for myself, but I've been doing this work for a while and I feel like I'm very well trained in it. uh, I still work with people. In fact, I have a session today because I've had some back issues and I feel like at this point it might be emotional. So we're going to have somebody take a look because sometimes we're too close to our stuff. So energy people who can work in your energy field, see what's going on in there and help you clear it out is super duper helpful. So if you don't have someone to help you with that, I will be able to help you very, very soon. And I'm very, very excited about that. After doing these transformation calls with people, I am like, whew, lit up. I am lit up to help people release this heavy baggage bullshit that they've been carrying around for way too long. And just to release those false belief systems that are creating, being able to facilitate in that way where people go, oh my goodness, I can't believe I believed that. It's like so not true. And you just kind of uncover that for them, and it feels so good. All right, follow me. I love you. And thanks for being with me. Peace.